We're good? Here we go. Coming down. Thanks so much for this.
You're welcome.
Elliotte, we're at downtown Terroni on Adelaide. Beautiful restaurant. Wanted to have a really nice setting because Ryan McDonagh doesn't do very many of these. Ryan McDonagh, defenseman for the Nashville Predators, joining us. First of all, thank you so much for taking time out. I know that this is maybe new territory. Your reputation is great teammate, fearless leader and lead by example, not a big talker. Like to do all of your talking on the ice. First of all, how are you? Because last night we're watching the Ottawa game, and when I think of Ryan McDonagh, there's one visual that comes to mind. It's you going to the bench wincing, and we saw it again last night in the game against Ottawa. I always have to ask, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm in one piece today, which is good. No broken bones at this moment, so that feels good. And last night took another puck to the shin there, but it was late in the game and trying to hang on to a shutout there for our goalie, who's been unbelievable this year. So it felt good for us to come through for him there.
I asked some people who are in Tampa just about you, and one of the things they talked about was as you walk down the corridor to the dressing room in Tampa, there's a picture of you on the mural, and you're down blocking a shot. And they said that is the perfect memory of what Ryan McDonagh did here. Now, you got pretty hurt this year, and we've seen a few of them happen this year. I'm just wondering, is there any more fear in you, like the way these kids shoot today, about going down and trying to block these shots?
Yeah, I think you try to have a little bit more calculations to it at times. Different points in the ice, different points in the game, but you still know the difference that it makes. Shot blocking pays dividends and wins, and makes a difference in the long run. And for me, joining a new team here, trying to show my teammates and show the team different ways to win games and the sacrifices that it takes. And so I'm always going to be willing and able because I've seen the dividends pay off, like I talked about.
What's your relationship with pain like? I'm really curious about this. A lot of athletes, treat it differently. Marathon runners will talk with, sitting with their pain, almost like pain is something separate from them, and it's something they carry with them, and they have a relationship with it. How would you describe your relationship with pain?
It's a love-hate. It's going to hurt. You hope it doesn't. You hope it catches you in the pads at times, but. You got a lot of. You make sure you take care of your training staff. That's for sure throughout the year because they're definitely looking after me a lot.
You know what? It's funny you say that because I heard you took a lot of pride in Tampa about beating the training staff in fantasy football, and you made sure they knew that you beat them in fantasy football. So that doesn't sound like taking care of your training staff.
There's different ways, but no, it was a competitive group down there, and like many people in this world, fantasy football is fun to be a part of.
True or false on that one? You came in second this year, Stamkos first.
That's true. Yeah, it was tough down the finish there, but Stammer got his first title. I've gotten one title.
Who are you most pleased to beat along the way, though?
Probably Pat Maroon.
What's your team name?
We actually just do, kind of through DraftKings, a season-long thing. So it's not, we don't really do like the draft.
Okay.
We kind of pick a different lineup each week, and one of the trainers does a great job keeping track of all the points, and we call it the UPS Cup, kind of copying the FedEx Cup is in PGA there.
Now, do you have one in Nashville? Did you do one this year with the group?
I did do one in Nashville, and I came in second in that. That was a more than original, or I guess, season-long version. So it was me and Tanner Janot in the finals, but he came out on top there. But at least I was, happy to make an imprint there with the new guys, and they, know I like football and pay attention to it. But there's some competitive guys there too. Even some of the Euro. Philip Forsberg is he's a diehard fantasy football fan. So it was pretty interesting to learn that about him.
Now, who was your best pick this year, and who was your worst pick this year?
My best pick this year was Travis Kelce. I think many people would agree. Tight ends were kind of hard to find consistency this year, but man, that guy was a beast. I did take Cam Akers, and he was slow off the start and non-existent, but then he finished kind of strong. So it was like it is. It's always an up and down season with fantasy football.
You know, I had in one of my pools, I had the number 1 overall pick, and I took Jonathan Taylor. And my team did pretty well this year. I got knocked out in the quarterfinals, considering where I started, but he killed me. It's like the war, like that. The week I got knocked out was the week he got hurt in the first play of the game. And I was like, I don't take this stuff quite that seriously, but that drove me crazy. Fantasy football, it makes people crazy.
Yeah. It definitely makes watching football a lot more fun.
Better, a lot better.
Yeah.
Along the way in your career, you've played with 3 really distinct goaltenders. I'm always curious about the relationship between a defenseman and his goaltender, Henrik Lundqvist, Andrei Vasilevsky, and now UC Saros. How are they different? How are they similar? Your relationships with your 3 main netminders?
I mean, yeah, I was obviously a rookie when I first got to know Lundqvist and play alongside him, and pretty intimidating guy. As far as being the face of New York there and the legend that he was there for the Rangers. But, obviously as you get to play longer with him, he cares about his teammates and wants to win. Super competitive. All 3 guys, for sure, some of the most competitive guys that, I can remember playing with as far as teammates go. Preparation, same thing. All 3 guys work extremely hard. I mean, I remember Lundqvist would stay on the ice for hours, before and after, taking breakaways, working on different things. And Vasilevsky's the same way. He was in the gym all the time. I mean, just a beast of a player as he is, and he still takes care of himself so well. And Saros is the same way. After games, we've been giving up a lot of shots lately, but he's going into the gym, biking, stretching, doing a little bit of extra. So when you have 3 goaltenders like that, kind of the backbone of your team, and being in setting an example like that, I think the rest of the team just feeds off that. So I've been, like I said, very, very fortunate.
One of the reasons why I ask is, like we've been talking about to start this interview, you're not shy about getting in front of a puck. And I know a lot of netminders will say, get out of the way, give me the shot, give me the shot. Has there ever been a conflict between you or the goalies? You're like, hey man, my game is I'm jumping in front of these things, and your goaltender is saying, I got the pads on here, let me take the shot. Yeah,
for sure. And I think I've learned too, where there's a time you've got to trust the goalie and maybe not go for that block and that screen where, an elite shooter might use you as a screen, so to speak. And I guess maybe try to understand where you are on the ice and not cross in front of the goalie's path, and maybe stay maybe on one side of the net and try to take away something like that, or maybe take away the backdoor pass so the goalie knows that he can come out and be more aggressive. I think that's what I've really learned over the course of playing for a long time, and definitely playing on the PK is there's different lanes and different areas to try to take away, and where's the right play at the right time.
I wanted to ask you about this year. So you guys go to the final again. You come 2 losses away, or 2 wins away from winning your 3rd straight cup. And then, kind of how did everything unfold after that, Ryan? And just how hard was it on you?
I mean, yeah, you're talking about a pretty wide range of emotions. We, going on another exciting deep run, and with the group that's already so tight, been through so much together, a lot of success and some downs along the way. And like you said, when you come up short, your body's just kind of in shock and trying to recover and rest, and just also trying to realize what you've accomplished the last couple of years and how close you were again that 3rd year. And then to, kind of get your world flipped upside down there with the trade rumors and the trade possibility of happening. You're just trying to keep your focus on trying to find the best situation, the best scenario for you and your family to continue playing.
And how come you chose Nashville?
Well, for me, it was, things moved really quick, and it was kind of an awkward time because it was later in the off season. It was coming up quick with free agency, and I guess it was the start of free agency. Yep. So teams were kind of, or maybe it was the draft too, and teams were kind of trying to make moves with the cap and maneuver and position themselves. So it was going to take a lot of time for maybe more teams to get involved, and we had a couple teams right away reach out and try to work something, but they kind of needed some time to make moves and needed the draft to come around to make moves. But Nashville kind of came out of nowhere, and when I reached out to them, they were really excited, and it just kind of snowballed into a positive relationship and positive scenario, so to speak. And it was really fortunate that they stepped up at the end and made a move. And for me, I was thrilled to kind of stay with a competitive team and a team that had some older guys and some young guys coming up. And like you talked about, a great goaltender and the difference that can make in the playoffs going forward and as far as having some success. So I was fortunate to, like I said, join a competitive team that was, trying to win still.
It's probably the toughest question I have for you, but are there any hard feelings at all
With
Tampa?
Oh, I mean, for sure. Like I said, I think it'd be a little different maybe if we got knocked out in the first round or didn't make the playoffs and, maybe you thought they needed to make some moves, shake things up, so to speak. But, to go all the way to the finals again and to game 6 and, almost make it a third run, you feel like you can keep going with that group and keep having success. So to move on from that was probably the most difficult thing for me.
What are the memories that have the most gravity with you when you look back at Tampa, the 2 Stanley Cups, the run to the final? You had a run to the final with the New York Rangers as well. But what are your most vivid memories about playing in Tampa?
I mean, we had so much fun, and obviously the excitement around that 62-win regular season run.
Yeah.
And then it comes crashing to a halt. And we obviously remember what happened there, but you want to talk about adversity as a group and facing it head on, and management and coaches sticking together in a group and believing in a group and not necessarily blowing it up or making too many big changes. To go through that, come out of it the way we did, it's a grand scheme of a memory, but I think, you always have adversity over the course of your career and life in general. And for us to come out of it the way we did, I think just really speaks volumes to that group as far as coaching staff, management, and players all coming together and I guess putting aside, their personal matters and putting the team first to try to do whatever we could to win.
What did you think was going to happen after that Columbus series? Because the draft that year was in Vancouver. Elliotte and I were there, and you remember the wild rumors that were going around everywhere.
You know what I also remember about that year was the awards. Like Keenan Thompson hosted and he took big runs at you guys.
Yeah. But this year was a historic season as well for the Tampa Bay Lightning. Shout out to my Tampa folks. That's right, they tied the most wins in a regular season with 62. And then they followed it up by tying the least wins in a playoff with 0. But hey, that's what I like about them. Win or lose, they set records.
And so I can only imagine what you guys are all thinking. Like, I remember Vasilevsky's out for the Vezina, and Thompson's making his jokes, and Vasilevsky's looking just stone-faced at the stage. So I can only imagine what's going through you guys' heads.
Yeah, I guess, we didn't really know what was going to happen either, because a lot of us had played long enough to know that it can go a matter of 2 ways. And like I said, we had some internal meetings and team meetings, and we knew we were going to get some heat from a lot of different angles in the hockey world and the media world. But like I said, for management and coaches to stick with us and believe in that group and us respond the way we did, obviously talk about look in the mirror moment and kind of look at each other and figure out what we need to do to be better and where we need to change as a team. I think that was the difference in the end.
Do you remember any one specific player or message? Because I heard that Cooper in particular really trusted you. Was there any one particular message or comment or anything that a player said or team coach or executive said that you thought really mattered?
I can't remember, one player, one meeting per se. We had a lot of great leaders on that team, and obviously bringing in Pat Maroon after that season was a big moment too. Having a guy that had just recently won, the Blues were in almost dead last or whatever it was in January, and then they go on that crazy run. So as far as handling adversity, we could kind of believe his words and how he helped transform that Blues season. And so when he came in and he started kind of getting a vibe of our team and, realizing that, there's got to be more to our game in order to win. It can't just be the high-flying, skilled offense that we showed for the regular season there and getting 62 wins. So I think, kind of his message and the coaches changing some things in our tactics a little bit of our message, and over the process of the training camp in the summer, our group realized that we had to change a little bit.
The Kucherov press conference. Were you watching it live? Did you have
one?
any idea? The one where he's buckled?
Yeah. Well, there's kind of two. The bubbly was just as funny too, but I think you're talking about the one in Tampa.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think we knew it was going to kind of come about again. He's a very, unique personality, but very diligent in his work and his preparation, and as far as his craft on the ice.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
He can have fun too, and I think he took it a little bit further than we were anticipating with some of the comments he made. But he can back it up with his play for sure.
This year, you go back with Nashville to Tampa, and he couldn't play, but they put up the video. Mm-hmm. And one of the things someone said to me was Tampa was carrying that game. And they put up the video, and it was so emotional, and all the Tampa players fell apart, and Nashville scored a shorthanded goal. Did that unfold that way? Did you see that all happen that way?
That was kind of ironic. They were out to a quick 2-0 lead, and that was a great video and tribute by them. And like I said, thankful for me to be able to get back there. Would have hated to have to wait a whole nother year. Like I said, even though I didn't get to play, it was great to be back there in the arena again. But I guess some of the guys kind of got a little phased by it, a little bit off their train of focus and whatnot, and maybe it pumped Nashville and our boys up too a little bit and got them going. So it was funny afterward, Coop's comments that I still had a little bit of an impact in the game, even though I wasn't playing. So that was funny of them.
What derailed us, or derailed me anyway, was the McDonagh tribute. It was like the worst timing ever because we're rolling, and I don't know if there was a dry eye on the bench. It was that was one of the best tributes I've seen, definitely here. It was so it was pretty moving, and then we coincidentally give up a shorthanded goal right after that. So I blame Mac. He had his imprint on the game, sitting in the stands.
Just some plays from your time in Tampa that people remember. One of them was you guys are in trouble against the Islanders, and you throw a great pass to Kucherov that wins a game in regulation in the bubble. And the question I was told to ask you was, did you black out when you made that pass?
I mean, no doubt it was a very fortuitous pass, but you play with Kucherov long enough, that's kind of where he hangs off of that right side of the net. I knew there wasn't much time left, so it's kind of one of those hope plays that, if it happens, it's awesome. If it doesn't, the buzzer's going to sound in a few seconds. But it's definitely an area that, he knows, and he wants us players on the ice with him to know that he's going to be over there. So it's, like I said, it was kind of a hope play, and it definitely changed the series for us for sure.
Winning the Cup is hard. We talked to Steven Stamkos a couple of years ago at the NHL Players Tour, and he was trying to drive home the point that we don't really care. Of course, you care about the regular season and wins. You have to get in there. But his point was, doesn't matter where we end up as long as we get in. We know what to do when the playoffs start. We always hear about and think about teams that know how to turn the switch. What does that mean to you? Because we see it, like we watch Tampa. We've always said it's a foolish person who bets against Tampa in the playoffs. What's the switch?
I mean, with the way we were playing it, you try to take some of the risk out of your game for sure. Because for us, we feel like with that group, we could only need about 10, 12 scoring chances for, and with the skill that we'd have, we'd probably break through on a handful of them and try to win the game, 2-1 or 3-2, something like that. So, obviously in the regular season, it might be a little bit more open game at times, and you play a little bit loose. But in the playoffs with the tight checking, the puck management is so important, and any kind of turnover can lead to a good chance. So you just try to play so supportive, take a little bit of risk out of your game, and a little bit of patience to your game, and just try to swarm them defensively and let them kind of force it, so to speak. And I think that's where our game really evolved, is instead of, scoring 2 in the first period and thinking we've got to get to 5 or 6, we would be fine staying at 2 and just being a little bit conservative, so to speak, and letting the game come to us a little bit more.
Tell me about the time you autographed a van.
That was, I don't know what year that was back in New York. We used to always go up for pregame meal at an Italian spot and walked outside, and then one of the food trucks there was Mac truck, and right beside it was a Rangers fan too, and he wanted us to sign his van. I think it was a plumbing company of some sort. And I think it was Stepan and I, Callahan and Girardi and Stahl. I think all 5 of us signed it. So it was definitely a first, but not something maybe out of the norm for the city of New York.
That's what someone said to me, was the reason you said you did it was because it was a one-time thing, and you're never. Where else is going to get a chance to autograph a van?
Yeah,
I think that's fantastic.
just hearing the question asked, we were just so thrown off by it.
I think it's great. Like that's meaningful to someone that you did that. I think it's fantastic. Now, there's the legendary story about Stepan too. Is you guys played Minnesota, I guess, high school hockey against each other, and he went around you once, and the next time you saw him, you made sure to just drill him, because for revenge. Have you done that to anyone else in the NHL? Like maybe a person you knew or a former teammate, where they got the better of you once, or they were friends of yours, and you made sure you just drilled them another time to let them know you were there?
I don't know if it was the same kind of hit, but I do remember in the World Cup playing against my good friend Zuccarello, and I think it was one of my first couple shifts against him. He was playing for the Team World, Team Europe, and it was just kind of a neutral zone pass up. He was right at the red line, and I'm going up to close the gap on him. A lot of times you'd finish on him. I just kind of let him. I guess I let him make the play, and he chipped it to a guy with speed. They went down and scored, and I was so mad at myself because I could have ended the play and hit him and blown it up. And I remember the rest of that game, I was not letting him have an inch out there and just trying to hit him the rest of the game. And then he was getting a little frustrated at me and whatnot. But obviously they had the better of us in that game. But I remember, you've got to remember that there's no friends out there at times, and that could be the difference.
Is there anyone that you've ever lined up and said, "Oh man, I'm going to feel bad about this later," and you just did it anyway?
That Islanders series, I had a couple big hits against Brock Nelson. We trained together in the summer and skate together a lot. But I learned that lesson my first cup run with the Rangers, playing against the Kings and Dustin Brown. I thought he was going to be a friendly teammate out there to me because we had played together in the Olympics. But my gosh, he was just destroying me, being, getting under my skin, getting me to take penalties. And sure enough, they had won a cup before, and he knew what he was doing. They won again to beat us. And I never forget that, going through the line with him and him apologizing. He said, "Sorry, Mac, but it's the cup," and that was a lesson right there for me that, if I ever get back and make another run, that I'm going to make sure that I leave no prisoners out there and no revenge.
Sticking with the Rangers days, you haven't spent much time in the American Hockey League, but you spent a little bit of time with Hartford. And I'm curious what that was like at that age. You're looking around the room, and Elliotte and I talked about Wade Redden a couple weeks ago on the podcast, and you're looking around that room, and there's Wade Redden.
Yeah.
What was that like for you? Did you have any type of relationship? We've heard all these stories about how, he took care of a lot of the kids there and took care of a lot of the guys. What was Wade Redden like for you?
Yeah, he was my roommate too, my first roommate too. So it was
really
pretty incredible. I mean, this, guys played how many games in the NHL, and then I'm just starting my career, and then he's my roommate. And I think the first thing was just the calmness about him. I mean, we all knew he was going through probably a pretty tough thing, being sent down at that time of his career with his family and everything he'd gone through at the NHL level. But for him to kind of come in and just be calm, be himself, keep coming to the rink with a smile on, and like I said, try to have a positive attitude around us young guys, just helped, for sure me, as far as trying to settle in and learn how to play more games and kind of get my feet under me as a pro. And his calmness on the ice with the puck, down there it can be pretty feisty. If guys running around trying to hit you, but
Sure.
he was calm and poised at all times. It just kind of showed and gave me confidence out there as well.
I want to ask you a little bit about here in Nashville. We get in. What do you see? What did you first see about this group and this team when you first got into Tennessee and started meeting the group at the skates and things like that?
Yeah, it was a good mixture of a handful of older guys, and I think first and foremost getting to know Roman Josi, the captain, having watched him now for a handful of years, and then see him up close on the ice. His incredible play, his incredible seasons he's had. I think just his smarts on the ice and his want to win, his love for the team. I think that stood out to me as the guys really love each other, care about each other, and want to get to that next level as far as being a elite team and a contender and try to go on these runs. So for me, it's fun to kind of have that winning experience and try to share that, implement that in with these guys. And like I said, through the course of the season, we've had some ups and downs, but now we're starting to kind of roll and realize the little things that it helps to win games, and hopefully we can make it continue.
What's the question that you get asked the most? Like, you're coming from a situation where you won a lot. What's the question that these players ask you the most?
Nothing, more so kind of how our players interacting. For sure, you get that a lot, but just little things that we did more so in practice. I said some of the drills, kind of different tendencies, and we're kind of doing some of the same systems Tampa's run, and for sure getting asked a lot on the penalty kill, because that's a big role for me, and an area that is expected a lot from me. So just little things in practice, and obviously things guys try to do in Tampa and work on anything that it can help with some of the young guys here in Nashville.
Is Nashville's travel better than Tampa's? That was what some guys told me. The only drawback of playing in Florida, the only one, is the travel.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Tampa's obviously in that Atlantic division with the teams up here, Toronto, Montreal, Buffalo, Ottawa. So, long flights for your division. Nashville's kind of centrally located. It's kind of nice being in that central time zone. You're not having to switch too many time zones to go out west, and only one going east. So that's kind of nice.
Tanner Jeannot was a freak. And this is one day after he had that big dust up with Kastelik, which was, old school.
Yeah.
No, there are still fitness records that stand in the Western League that Tanner Jeannot said may never get broken. In your experiences in hockey, can anyone compare with him? Or is he just standalone, the most freakish fitness player in the NHL?
Yeah, I mean, right now he would for sure. I mean, the big guy in Tampa was my partner there, Eric Chernak, who's a big, strong dude too. Mm-hmm. And both guys could skate like the wind and whatnot. But he's got that toughness element to him too, and just fearless and courageous, and takes care of himself so well. So it's great to see him continuing to do well.
Who on this team? It's always interesting. You have an idea of who a player is and what they're like. And then you get to that team and you say, wow, I knew he was good. I didn't know he was that good. Are there a couple of players on Nashville that you came to that realization around?
I think my first, off-season summer skate with Forsberg was insane. I mean, I know it's a summer skate, but his hands are unbelievable. His puck handling skills, picking it up and flipping it around. And I mean, he's done a handful of those highlight reel goals and tricks and stuff, but see it in person is pretty impressive. And for him too, his shot, it's such a quick release. Mm-hmm. I've had some elite players and teammates in Tampa there as far as shooters, but his little wrister is unbelievable too, so accurate. So I think my first few skates with Forsberg really is pretty eye-opening.
All right, most hated opponent in all of your years. Guy you hated the most.
Pretend the camera and microphone's off.
I mean, I always hated playing Matt Cook there in Pittsburgh, and after that hit he had on me, and I just, definitely not one of my favorite
you
players.
Excused him too. I remember publicly you said you went easy on it. I remember, people gave you credit for that, because not everybody said they would have been as charitable.
Well, I was a young player in the league, so just trying to be respectful.
We live in Toronto, so I knew I was going to get this question for one of my friends. But he said, ask McDonagh if Tampa thought they were in trouble last year in the first round against Toronto.
Yeah, we felt it a little bit for sure. I mean, that was one of the tougher series I can remember in all my playoff series. The confidence that they were playing with, I think, obviously the speed and skill, but just the, I guess, kind of like out of structure that they were. They kind of just read and react a little bit more than some teams. You talk about playing the Islanders; it was just like you knew where they were going to be at all, at all spots in the ice. But the way the Leafs were playing, they were kind of in between you, just kind of baiting you and reading, reacting, and it was tough to kind of be predictable in our system at times because they were just so fast on you, and sometimes it'd be one guy, sometimes it'd be 2 or 3 guys swarming you. So they just had a little bit of unpredictableness about them that kind of created some confusion for us at times.
Last one here. Give us a snapshot of the Predators right now. I mean, you're on a roll, games in hand on the Alberta teams. Like, it's great that we're seeing races right now, and Nashville's right in the thick of things. Give us a snapshot of this team right now.
Well, I think maybe the first 20 or so games, we were finding ways to lose games, and it was on us and with our puck play and decisions and out of sorts on our special teams. But right now we're definitely finding ways to win games, giving ourselves a chance, not hurting ourselves, kind of taking some of the risk out of our game like I talked about, allowing plays to happen, allowing the game to come to us, and at times forcing our will on teams too. And we feel like we've got depth up front and a D-core that can really skate and be tough to play against that way. But just love the fact that we're finding ways to win games. I mean, you guys know it's not an ideal recipe to give up 60-some shots to Carolina, but we found a way to win. And
It's okay if the goalie It's okay if he's good enough to stop them.
He was incredible. That was an unbelievable performance. But, along that was a ton of block shots, and we're seeing that everybody in our lineup do that, and different guys scoring goals and timely goals by our power play, which we weren't having before. And even last night we had to kill 8 penalties or something like that, or 7 penalties to Ottawa, whose power play was rolling. So I think we're just finding ways to win games and finding confidence that no matter where we're at in a game, we can somehow come out on top. So it's a good confidence to have.
Summer night, you've got the grill out. What are you cooking?
I would just love a big tomahawk ribeye on the Traeger.
Do you have? I've heard you're a Traeger guy. Do you have a specific steak that you? Is there like the McDonagh cut?
I mean, no. We had a great butcher shop in Tampa, and I've found some in Nashville as well. But just love the big tomahawk ribeyes. I can guess who probably told you that. If I were to guess one guy.
Tell me. Give me a guess.
I think Luke Shen might have.
It's not actually Luke Shen, but I should have gone to him for information. Yeah.
He's the king of ordering ribeyes and steaks. So.
And how do you make them?
I like to slow cook them. Reverse sear, it's called. Slow cook them at about 215 on the Traeger for about an hour, and then crank it up and sear it for about 5-7 minutes.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I think we see a second career here when hockey is all done.
I wouldn't mind that.
Yeah, look, he's got it's the biggest smile he's had during the interview. I was talking about the steak.
Oh, man.
He's got to have a big game against Toronto on Wednesday. Listen, you don't do this very often, as you mentioned. Really appreciate it. You gave us a lot of time. Really appreciate it. Good luck Wednesday against the Maple Leafs, and good luck the rest of the way.
Appreciate it. Thanks, gents. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.